Well, summer is officially upon us, and with that comes the joy of summer reading. And whether you're doing it on the dock by the lake or perhaps on a picnic blanket out in a provincial park, there is something for every reader at McNally Robinson Booksellers. Chris Hall and Kathleen Friesen join us from the bookstore to walk us through what to read in July. Hello, you two.
Good morning.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. Maybe before we even get into some of the books that you all have brought, Kathleen, I'm wondering, what are some of the tips that you have for making summer reading fun for kids?
You know, one of the things that's great in summertime is you see a kid and their parent or guardian or friend or whoever, they come up to the cash desk with just a stack of books. They are getting ready to just dive in. It's a great time of year to start a series that you've been wanting to start.
Yes.
Just come up, just grab a stack, and then pick whatever book strikes your fancy at the time. Reading should always be fun.
Totally.
Like you said, you should be doing it outside, you should be doing it inside, you should be doing it anywhere. And yeah, no pressure. Just pick something that looks fun and go with it.
Kids are not the only ones building the habit of reading in these summer months. Maybe for the person who is looking to build a summer reading habit, Chris, what would your tip be for that person as they get summer underway in earnest in this first week of July?
Well, summer reading can mean different things to different people. So you have to follow your mood a little bit. It can be light. Yeah, maybe you want a light, breezy read, but maybe you've got the time on your holidays to actually really consider something. I've said that before. So I always like to get that book that actually is going to ask something of me. The other thing I would say is take a holiday from your phone. Set it across the room. And sit down with a book instead of spending 20 minutes scrolling through something.
Fantastic.
Set it down in the kitchen and sit. As I was reminded at one point in my life, you'll hear it if it's at a distance. Oh, yeah. And so that's been something I try to remember to do.
Very worthwhile. When you're not reading this summer, perhaps you might want to be spending your time looking for a very famous hider around the city of Winnipeg. Kathleen, maybe what can you tell us about this little search adventure that McNally has planned?
Yes, for the month of July, we are participating in Where's Waldo Winnipeg once again. We've done that for the past few years. So Waldo will not only be hiding in our store, as he will also be out in the community. So at some of the theaters, Manitoba Theatre for Young People, he'll be at the Aviation Museum. You pick up a stamp card at our store and have a little fun trip around the city. Check out some events, find Waldo, and come back to the store and enter to win some great prizes.
Waldo is a notoriously tricky hider, so those prizes might be difficult to come by. But what sorts of prizes are people maybe going to be vying for if on the off chance they are successful?
Yes. Well, books, of course.
Right on.
We always have a big Waldo prize, the whole series. Also, we have our community partners have donated some great prizes. So the RWB has donated. Again, the Aviation Museum. You maybe get some admission passes to some of these theaters. Really, really fun prizes.
Amazing. Okay. So that's something you're doing when you're not reading, because really, that's what else would you want to do with your summer aside from read and look for Waldo in the city of Winnipeg, at least for July. So let's break down some of these books for kids that you've brought in, Kathleen. Not at all a foreboding title on this first one, Free Piano, Not Haunted.
Yes.
By Whitney Gardner.
Yes. I say we get a jump on spooky season. Read whatever you want in the summer.
Okay.
So this is a little spooky, but not really spooky. It's really a coming-of-age story. Graphic novel for middle grade kids, probably about 10 plus in age. This creator is from Victoria, BC. And yeah, it's about an aspiring songwriter named Margot. She's trying to gain fame and followers by posting her songs online. She plays the ukulele. And she's also following in her father's footsteps. He's chasing his own dreams of fame, and he's taken off to LA, so she thinks, I can make it big and go and do that too. But one day she comes across a synthesizer on the street. The sign on the piano says, Free Piano, not haunted, not possessed in any way, totally normal.
Which, of course...
course we know it's definitely haunted.
Give it away the game here,
Yes. So it turns out the piano is haunted by a teen pop star from 1979.
Whoa.
Whose spirit has been trapped in this piano, and as we discover, maybe a more sinister presence also hiding away in this piano. So,
all right. So then, within that, you mentioned it's a graphic novel. How does that sort of medium enhance this sort of spooky nature of the story here, of encountering this pop star from the 70s trapped in a synthesizer? It seems like a very apropos instrument to use for something from the 70s.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really neat the way that color is used in the graphic novel. So it uses this very intense red as soon as there's anything spooky. The ghost's eyes get red when you do finally see the ghost. And it's really, really neat. There's lightning bolts and it really adds to the mystery.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, we've also got something here for the younger readers, I understand, something called the Vampire Jam Sandwich.
Yes. Great title. One of my favorite
2 for
recent
2 on titles this time here, Kathleen.
So good. Yeah. So this is by another Canadian creator, Casey Lyall. She is more known maybe for her middle grade books. She's had a couple of books on the Young Readers' Choice Awards list here in Manitoba. Gnome is Where the Heart Is was one. And Waking the Dead and Other Fun Activities. She's great with a title.
I'm sensing again. Chris always teases me because I find these themes in the books that he picks on a more regular basis. But it seems like you found some sort of a vein here too.
Almost accidental. It just happened. Yeah. So Vampire Jam Sandwich, really fun, really silly, really kind of clever humor. We love to recommend these books to kids. They'll really enjoy this one. So it begins, would you like to hear a scary story? Once upon a time, a vampire took a bite out of a jam sandwich because maybe he thought the jam was something else. And we know what happens when you're bitten by a vampire. And that's how Vampire Jam Sandwich was born. And he's cursed to roam from kitchen to kitchen in search of more and more jam.
A story that will definitely be something to keep the pages flipping for those sort of aspiring summer readers. And I can't help but think that all of this could be avoided if they just used my favorite kind of jam, which was blueberry. They don't make the mistake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No mistaking that.
In a similar vein here, Chris, to a foreboding title, you've also pulled something for the adult readers by Ian and Will Ferguson, something called Killer on the First Page. How much are we giving away the game here before people even open the book?
Absolutely, yes. And it's in the same vein of silliness and fun. It's a new novel in their collaboration, the Miranda Abbott series, and I brought the first one, I Only Read Murder, on as a what to read, and in the middle of the two of them was a follow-up called Mystery in the Title. So now there's 3 to enjoy. Miranda is now the majority co-owner of the Happy Rock Bookstore, and she loves nothing more than hosting literary luminaries. Sounds familiar?
I was going to say, this seems very autobiographical in some senses.
Now she's hosting not only an author festival, but a murder mystery festival with 6 of the biggest names in crime fiction. And little does she realize that the authors are also bringing their egos, their professional jealousies, and their personal grudges along with their books. And the festival goes from bad to worse when one of the authors turns up dead in a locked room with no windows, and Miranda, as well as the good people of Happy Rock, are determined to solve the mystery. So it is very fun. The 2 authors are each individually winners of the Stephen Leacock Medal for Humor Writing. So yeah, it's right along the line of Kathleen's picks. It's funny, but
right.
with a dark theme, I suppose.
But again, another page-turning sort of an idea. When a book like this comes across your potential purchase list or a thing that you're maybe looking to put onto the shelves at McNally Robinson, is there some part of you that's going, man, this is like a really relatable story for us? Finally, booksellers have a voice in books, and is that giving it an extra edge to be on the shelves?
I don't know. There's a few books, the bookseller of this and that, so I feel well represented. I'm not sure if it's true to life or not. But.
I guess our listeners will have only one way to find out this summer. On something a bit more of a serious note here, a story perhaps not too far out of the realm of imagination for people following along with the current news, something called Vera or Faith by Gary Shteyngart.
Yeah, Gary Shteyngart is, I enjoy reading his books. one of my favorites, super sad true love story, now a few years old, but more recently one called Our Country Friends, and others as well. This is the story of the Bradford Schmulken family, and it is falling apart. They are a very modern blend of Russian, Jewish, Korean, and New England WASP, and they love each other deeply, but pressures of life in an unstable America is fraying their bonds. So the father is a struggling editor of Russian heritage who's caught a bit by surprise how relevant he suddenly is given the present day events. Yeah. The mother comes from blue blood in Boston, but has been doesn't have access to the money that usually comes from such a thing. She's barely holding the household together. Son Dylan has the blonde hair and good looks that put him right in line for American political order. And then we have 10-year-old Vera, who is someone completely different. She only wants 3 things in life: to make a friend at school, to have her parents stay together, and to meet her birth mother, who will finally tell Vera the secret of who she really is. Shteyngart is really good at wading into the world as it is right now. Our Country Friends was about COVID, and he just walked right into it and told a story from the middle of it. He's bitingly satiric at times, but he's also moving. And here he takes this 10-year-old vantage point and the honesty of it and the innocence of it and kind of plays it against the world as it is right now. And it's got a lot of insights that offers.
That's quite a skill to be able to take a book and drop it right into events that we are all living in. This is something we've talked about before, I think, with other books that are trying to navigate a similar sort of a passage that I always wonder, like, how when you're talking to people about these kinds of books, what sorts of reaction do you receive about people who read books that are not too far removed from the reality that we are all trying to navigate?
Well, I mean, it's as you say, there's a high degree of difficulty for it, so you can't hit it too closely to the nose. So it's always about character, and it's always about storytelling, no matter what story you're doing. So one of the downsides is they can get dated very quickly, that it can be seem like so last year. So yeah, it is a balancing act, and like all books, everybody kind of responds to them differently. Sure. I just like I like an author that really is just trying something, and I'll have a great deal of forgiveness if they don't quite pull it off, if they've kind of really have made me think about what it is they're trying to do. But
they made the effort, and that sort of effort is also to maybe be rewarded by the reader,
and rewarding.
Yes, and a rewarding experience. Absolutely. Another experience that will hit close to home for a lot of people here in Winnipeg and on Treaty 1 territory is this new book by a local author, Brittany Penner, something called Children Like Us.
Yeah, this is a little more serious for sure. Subtitle is A Métis Woman's Memoir of Family, Identity, and Walking Herself Home. So on the day of her birth in 1989, and that's near the end of the 60s scoop, Brittany was adopted by a white Mennonite family in a small prairie town. And by the time she's 7 years old, there's 21 foster siblings have come into that family and then left. And she is told she will stay because she's the lucky one. But she can't help but see in the mirror that her features are different from everyone else in the town, and she yearns, of course, to find her biological mother who can give her all the answers she's looking for. As she gets older, she does uncover some answers, but she finds a far more tangled story than she could have even imagined. So it is a story that asks difficult questions, of course, about family, identity, belonging, cultural belonging and continuity. She's someone who's really tried to feel grateful for this act. It's a really good intentional act, but she just also needs something different and something else.
It's a really interesting sort of a tension that this book seems to hold between, as you say, this character sort of receiving everything that they could want, a loving family. But what is it about that thing that you should always want in tension with that thing not being able to give you everything that you need simultaneously? Wow, what an incredible thing to try and navigate here in the month of July. Those books, once again, Children Like Us by Brittany Penner, Vera or Faith by Gary Shteyngart, Killer on the First Page by Ian and Will Ferguson, and for the younger readers, Free Piano, Not Haunted by Whitney Gardner, and Vampire Jam Sandwich by Casey Lyall. You can find a full display of these books at McNally Robinson Booksellers' Grant Avenue location. And don't forget to go into McNally Robinson and try and find Waldo for a chance to win some great prizes. Chris Hall and Kathleen Friesen, happy July to the both of you, and thanks for telling us what to read.
Thanks, Noah.
Happy summer.